What's going on, everyone? This is Mark Bruce with Fit Strength Performance coming at you with episode 8 of the Performance Recap. So today I'm going to talk about sport-specific training, especially for younger kids. This is a question that was posed to me, and it's a great question. I think I love parents, I love athletes, I love coaches who are diving into these conversations and they're not blindly going in. So when we think of sport-specific training, what's that question? Are you, when I hear questions from parents who are like, hey, my 8-year-old plays basketball and they're a point guard. Do you do point guard specific drills? Or, my 7-year-old is a lineman. Do you do lineman specific drills? So there comes a point in training with consistency that you can get to these sport specific positions in the weight room. You can do more technical skill, tactile drills out there in the field or the court. But again, that comes with checking off these lower end boxes of movement, movement adequacy, movement effectiveness, movement optimization, whatever you want to call it. It's no different than in school, right? If you want your kid to be a doctor in 8 years old, right? That the progression is like, it's going to be fourth grade science, fifth grade science, sixth grade science, seventh grade, it could be, it could be seventh grade science, and it could be earth science, then it could be living environment, biology, where that progression. And then once you get to those middle school ages, 8th or ninth, and you start to advance based on your performance, right? Your performance is checking off these other boxes, getting good grades, demoing that you can handle rigorous work. Now you can jump ahead to like biochemistry, but you've already taken them. The same thing is with movement and training in the weight room, these sport specific drills, right? For athletes, they have to just be able to, hop, skip, crawl, run, sprint with efficiency, and, crawl laterally, move in the frontal plane, shuffle, karaoke, being able to jump and land, be able to jump and land on one leg, being able to turn their hips and reposition into a sprint, shuffle into a sprint. These are all little things that athletes need to check off the boxes, and it's universal. It's general adaptation. It's general preparedness. This is where we call it the GPP phase for athletes, general preparation phase, because every athlete needs it. It doesn't matter what sport they play. It doesn't matter their position, because realistically, you just don't know where your athlete's going to be when they're in 7th or 8th grade, when they're then in 6 or 7 years old, when they're in 7th or 8th grade. You just don't know, right? If your kid is bigger when they're 8 and they play basketball, like me, I was the center, but when I got to 8th grade, I was only 5'10", right? That's where I stopped. Ninth grade, I was 5'10", so I had to be a guard. So that's why it's really important to prepare your athlete to do everything. There is no sport-specific training. It doesn't mean that, if they're playing pee-wee football or basketball and this is the position they're playing, to work on those skills. There's nothing wrong that if you are a center and when you're 8 years old that, you work on post skills. But at the end of the day, right, every guard should be working on their left and right hand layups, dribbling with the left hand, dribbling with the right hand. Because at that young age, I remember when I was, in eighth, when I was 8 or 9 years old, I was the same height as everybody. I was just bigger, right? So I should have been working on my guard skills because I was the same height. I was just bigger than everybody, right? So, it's important that athletes, until they get to like 8th, 9th, 10th grade, right, they should be doing this general preparation phase, right? They need to learn how to hop, skip, jump, crawl, rotate their body, bend their knees, lunge, push, pull, and then do various footwork drills, various change directions, running straight and then running to the right to another cone, shuffling, shuffling to the right, stopping and sprinting left, and then sprinting back, right? They should be doing all these different sprint variations no matter what sport they play, no matter what position they play, no matter what, because it's just general movement that athletes need to be able to do. And then that should translate to their sport. So if you have a 8-year-old who's a center or a point guard, and you get them involved in some, sports specific training, sports performance training, they all should be doing the same thing, right? And that should apply to what they do in their sport. The ladder drill can be great for coordination. So maybe 6 to 8 minutes of the ladder drill working on coordination, working on, building the resiliency in the calves, staying off your heels, which should translate to just basic coordination skills in the court. If your kid's a lineman, right? If you work on various change direction drills with a cone, right? That should work on when they're down on the line and they hike and they got to get up and swim, move, and get around, right? Doing all these different cone variation, agility and change of direction drills should apply. And then all these kids should learn how to squat, lunge, push, pull, and all that should apply to their sport, right? So there is not this 8-year-old bucket of their specific position that these 8-year-olds need to do. It's all generalized. When they get to their sport, yes, they should then specify in what they're doing because they're playing that sport, right? But again, at a young age, I do think a lot of athletes, they should play everything. Get a chance to be the running back, get a chance to be the lineman, get a chance to be the point guard, the center. I always love when I was playing basketball and coaching, my center knew how to use a pick and roll because it made sense for him when he was setting a screen. He knew what to look for. He knew where his hands should be based on the defense, right? So that is very helpful for that athletic development. Long-winded story. There's this general preparation phase that all athletes need to undergo. So do not look for this sport-specific sports performance training for your kid. Find something that's going to generally prepare them for movement, because when they get older, now they're not just categorized as this position. Based on how they look and what they love, that'll determine that. Because if you look at like guys in the NBA or NFL, right, you got dudes like the Bus from the Steelers, who is a monster. Like you look at LeBron James, he's 6'10". If you look at Kevin Durant, he's 7 foot. So if you tell him at a young age, hey, you're 6'6", you need to be a center, maybe they never would have become the player that they are, right? So let your athlete try out every position, teach them the fundamental movements, prepare them for movement, hopping, skipping, running, jumping, landing, changing direction, back pedal to sprint, sprint to back pedal, shuffle to sprint, shuffle to back pedal, and then various movement directions, snap downs, basic body weight squats, basic lunges, step ups, pushing, pulling, teach them on a hip hinge, strengthen their hamstring, strengthen their low back, strengthen their upper back, get them to do a push-up and a pull-up, start teaching them those movements, and that will apply to their sport. Thanks for tuning in to our performance recap. Like, share, comment, send this to a parent, a coach that you work with, and I hope that provides some information. If you're in the local Rochester area, in 1 week we have our fundamentals program starting up. This is for athletes 8 to 11 years old. We'll run 3 sessions. So we have one starting September 26th, one January 1st, and then one May 5th, I believe. Right? So if you're in the Rochester area, share this with your team to better prepare these young athletes for their sport. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time.